Welcome to the very first episode of Kicking It Local. I am Johnny Kecko, and throughout the series I'll be sitting back and chatting to various people involved in the round ball game here in South Australia, coaches, players, officials, everyone in between as well. Get to know them on the pitch and off it as well, and get to see what's happening at some of your favourite clubs. And today is no different. The very first person I'll be chatting with is the head coach of the Adelaide Hills Hawks in the State League 1 for the second year in a row, the one and only Gareth von Duve. Mate, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, mate.
And the pronunciation of your name, everyone gets a little bit...
Yeah, it's Von Duve. It's
Von Duve. It's all different ones, isn't
it? Yeah, we sort of never really nailed down which one it is. So.
Well, it's easy. Everyone calls you around the club as Gaz.
Gaz, yep.
Yeah, that's the easiest way. So I'm going to call you Gaz throughout the whole chat today. But I'm looking forward to chatting to you. Last year, you copped it right at the beginning for the club, not yourself, but it was hard for you to come in because everyone said you guys were going to get relegated in season 2021.
Yeah.
You had a hard job. The first few games wasn't easy, but you managed to somehow just miss the finals. What did you make of your first season in charge of the Hawks?
It was very, very challenging. Sort of, I probably didn't expect it to be sort of the way that it was. I think I was probably a little bit naive, just in how other coaches can coach against you and sort of, nullify certain areas of the game. So, the first 4 games was a bit of a wake-up call for me with not scoring a goal, not look like scoring a goal and losing 4 straight, and then, sort of hit a bit of a purple patch with form there. But I think it's just, injuries can play a part of it, but we sort of had probably 6 or 7 out in that first 4 weeks, and then once we're able to sort of fill the squad back up and everyone sort of found their feet, and I got used to them, they got used to me, and probably Scotty Harrison was a big inclusion as well. So as soon as he come in and Callum Hutchins decided to play, it sort of settled the squad a little bit, and
And you had Callum Elms come into the squad, but you also lost Daniel Hosking as well. He went into the NPL, got a great opportunity at Panthers. He's back this season.
Yep.
Is he going to fit straight back in, or is he going to work for it this year?
He's going to have to work for it, I think. Ollie, Big Fridgie being our main vocal point as a striker there, but Tommy Taylor, who's got the nickname Tommy Tats with the physique and all the tattoos across his body, but I think he's really sort of shown what he can do, and then even Paris Duffield as well. Can slot up top, but I think when Fridgie went on holidays there, we've seen that Jake Leckel and Daniel Pauly sort of really did a role for us as well. So I think Hosco will sort of he's got to find that he's not going to walk in, which he understands. That we had a chat before he committed back to us, and he knows that there's 4 or 5 blokes that can play in his position now, so he's got to sort of stay on top of the ball.
It's going to be good for you though, but it's going to be hard and good for you because you've got a whole heap of attacking players you can use up front now. So
well, that's I think we've got 9 midfielders, so it's difficult, but it's probably a good it's a good problem to have, especially in the day of the way that COVID is. So.
And last year you had Ollie Grant obviously up front, and when you lost Hosking, it was okay because you had Ollie Grant there to take his place. But when he was gone for like those 5 games from a red card suspension, you struggled a little bit for getting back into it, but you managed to get a plan B and a plan C in play as well.
We just ended up changing the formation, and only because both times when we had to go a man down and we played 2 up top, it's sort of the 2 players that we had up top were able to work in tandem really well together in Paulie and Leckel. So we just thought, we'll just play 2 up top from now on. And that 4, when Fridgie had that little 4 weeks off, I think we had 2 or maybe 2 wins and 2 draws, and every time we played someone, they were above us. So we were able to sort of walk away with 8 points out of a really good sort of a good section of games there. So
and you said Fridgie, is that his nickname?
Yeah, Big Fridge. That's odd.
What is it?
It's just because he's a big fridge. I don't know. He's just a big boy.
It's very relevant. And with him this year, any changes to him or?
No, we've sort of been able to bring a few different guys in, and I think he realises that sort of the way that I was trying to coach and the work that we were doing outside of just our normal team structures to get him firing and to get more opportunities on goal. I think he sort of did feel pretty bad about the red cards, and he's definitely we're working on him on how to change, or not how to change him, but just get himself out of those situations. And because other clubs know now, if they can just sort of fire him up a little bit, and he's just a passionate man, he just loves to play, and he plays, he loves the boys and just wants to play well for the club. And I think, sometimes he can't harness that sort of passion that he has, and does, has little brain spurts, but I think he knows that, and we're sort of working on a bit of a plan on, just how to help him. And I think he knows himself that he's just, that little bit of maturity, and he'll be fine. But I think, it's some players do, some players don't. And I just think we'll get the best out of him when we need to.
From commentating your games last season for the NPL TV, I was watching. It made it entertaining for us calling the games when he would get a bit fired up. But I know as a coach, it would have been difficult on you. But
it's just how he is. I think as soon as you accept it, you can sort of help him manage it a little bit. But I mean, he's not the only one. I think it's just.
Oh yeah, everyone.
Everyone's got their own little ways, and he's just sort of unlucky in a way that he gets caught out.
I don't want to make out this podcast as targeting him. For now, so we better move on. We'll talk about the club a little bit later on. I want to talk about the upcoming season because there's a lot of excitement around the club at the moment, especially in the women's field as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to talk about that, but a bit about yourself before getting into football. You've obviously came from Mount Gambier, so a bit of a trek. Not too far from Woodside though, but you started off in AFL or Aussie rules.
Yeah.
What was the turning point to get into football?
It was just me. Well, I think my best mate Skeet just wanted me to, or we needed a goalkeeper in under 14s, and we didn't train on the same nights as footy, so I could do both. And our soccer down there is on a Sunday, and Aussie rules was a Saturday. So mum and dad were happy for me to do that, and a lot of people at Inter would, I'd get rides with teammates and stuff like that if mum and dad couldn't take me. And I had guys that I went to school with that all played, so it just sort of made sense. I just went in and never looked back.
You've gone from goalkeeping into coaching. Was there ever a point where you thought you would be more of a goalkeeper coach, or you always thought about? I
sort of did a little bit of goalkeeping coaching as such, but I mean, at Inter we didn't have specialty coach. You're just, you're an under 17s coach. You're you're sort of a figure for the teenagers as well. And I'd pick them up from school, I'd drive them to train, and I really try to build like a good relationship with my team, and we're able to be pretty successful in that time. But no, I never really, when I first came up here, I thought I wanted to be a goalkeeping coach, but just could never find the actual course. Like, there wasn't a course here at the time, and I'd done my C
here
licence.
In Adelaide or
in Adelaide?
In Adelaide,
and then I'd just done my C licence and just thought I'll just become a senior coach instead. So
there you go. It's done you wonders. And then you got your senior coaching role at Inter in Mount Gambier alongside, I remember chatting to you a couple of times, that Tony D'Agostino is your mentor.
Yep.
What was that like coaching under him and getting that experience from him?
It was really good. So sort of backpedal a little bit in coaching 2011, 2012 and 13 with under 17s. When Tony, so he was pretty successful, coached 6 premierships in a row, then had a couple of years off. And the year he come back, he said, I'll come back as long as Gaz can be an assistant and we can sort of build a relationship between the 17s and the 2 senior grades. And then in 2013, I'd Lou Zaccato, who was, once again, a pretty successful coach as well for Inter, he decided to step down, and I was coaching 17s and then assistant coaching for the Bs and the As with Tony. And in 2014, I sort of went co-coach, and in 2015 we sort of won again. So I think that was our 5th premiership in a row.
Oh wow!
Since they changed, the format was always first past the post. So I think we won 6 in a row with that format, and then they changed it to grand final sort of setup. And then we lost one year, and then we come back and won another 5. So then I'd left in 2015. So I only had 2 years as a senior, a lone stand senior coach.
And then you left there and went and did reserves for Metro Stars, is that correct?
I was sort of assistant for the reserves, but coaching the under 16s, which even that was a pretty big step up. Sort of wasn't sort of ready for it. And I think I was sort of naive in the sense that I'd never lost a premiership. Like, ever since I'd been involved in soccer, I'd won, even if as a goalkeeper I'd won 3 or 4. As a coach, I'd won, as a senior coach and player, I'd been involved in 7 and coached 3 under 17 ones. So I sort of thought I'd be okay. And then I come up, and in the same year, under 17 or under 16s, we were fighting relegation, and the reserves won the championship. So I had Saturdays were always not too bad. We were always pretty good. And then Sundays was a bit of a task for me, but I had pretty good help. Like Rod Del Nido was he was very instrumental in me for that, and Steph Pappas and Nigel Gill were very good for me in that first year as well, sort of helping me find my feet within the sort of city setups.
Yeah, and also at that period, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Travis Dodd and also Robbie Saraceno were also head coaches of the seniors team around that time.
Yeah, so Robbie, so my first year, Michael Peroni was the senior coach and Robbie Saraceno was his assistant. Then Peroni stepped back due to work and family, and Robbie had taken over, and Scotty Tunbridge helped him for that sort of second half of the season. And then Trav Dodd come on the following year. But I loved it. I loved being around those guys, and I just loved watching them train their trainings and just learn off them as much as I can.
Yeah. What did you learn from there? Like, how did that shape the way you coach now?
I think everyone's different. But I was sort of try to see myself as a bit of a motivator more than sort of tactical. But sort of watch the way Trav thinks about the game, and even Steph, Pappas, and Nigel at sort of a smaller scale. But I think just Robbie Saraceno for me, as much, he probably doesn't know, but I just used to model how I wanted to be around him in his mentality towards trainings and game day, and be as prepared as possible. But he's just, sometimes his demeanour is just, he seems really calm, and he'll sort of give you a bit of a push if you need to be pushed. But sometimes, in front of open public, he's really sort of level-headed. But then, as I said, if he needs to sort of ramp it up a little bit, he will, behind closed doors, but tries not to show as much in public. So, keeps the players sort of not protected, but keeps the respect for them at that level, which I'd probably never seen, especially from the southeast. Sometimes coaches were just mates and, just guys that loved the game and wanted to help. And but for me, it's just the professionalism that they all bring. They just, very prepared, have an idea, have a plan B and C, which never had to have until I come to Adelaide. So
that plan B and C, as you mentioned, that come into play with what you did last year with the Ollie Grant situation.
Yeah, a little bit, and it was. I mean, it's we'll go to Ollie Grant, but even a couple of times we didn't really have a plan when Nathan was out. Which the one game he was out, we sort of struggled a fair bit just for that leadership, and that's sort of one thing that we're trying to build at the Hawks now is sort of a larger first team squad to make it's a little bit harder for reserves and under 18s to push into, but then you find the best of the best. And I think that's probably one thing I found when I was at Metro Stars. I thought, our reserve squad was, when we won the championship, I thought all of them could be first team players. But then when you see the kind of calibre that you have at first team level, and the guys still there like Tony Sologna and Rocky Callisto and Fabian Barbiero, Tim Henderson come along then, and Christian Esposito. So you've got these unbelievable footballers, and there's guys that are reserves that are probably really good, but you've got to be outstanding to push some of these boys out. And it's like what Nathan said at the presentation night for the Hawks. He's not just going to give up his spot. He loves the club too much to just step away. It sort of builds a bit of passion and drive from the junior grades and even the reserves to really strive to be better to get into that first team football. And
talking about love for a club, you must have had a lot of love for Inter and Mount Gambier, because from Metro Stars you went back there and took another opportunity up.
Yeah, so I'd moved back for family reasons, and I wasn't going to coach. I went back and played a little bit, and sort of wasn't for me. I sort of got a couple of injuries in me because I'm blind in my left eye. I'd sort of struggled a little bit, being out of the game for 6 years. So I sort of done a bit of goalkeeping stuff with the three keepers that we had at the club, and then Tony D'Agostino was going to step back, and I had no intentions of sort of taking over because my goal was to move back to Metro Stars. I only went down there for a year and a half, I suppose, and then he said he was stepping back and really wanted me to take over, so I sort of come in and changed everything.
So it came out of nowhere. You weren't intentionally going back there, or nothing?
I wasn't. I had no intention to go back and coach, just because I didn't want to only coach for one season then move back to Adelaide. So I sort of tried to stay away from it. But when Tony sort of asked me and wanted me to, and he said it didn't matter if you're only going to do it for one season, just do it. And I went in and changed a fair bit, but I think the players enjoyed it, and the club, were successful, so it's okay.
Well, that's good, win-win for everyone.
Yeah, that's it.
And then were you still at that point? Were you trying to come back into the league? Because I heard, I'm not sure you can correct this. The way you got into the Hawks, you watched them in the State League 2, and then wanted to be a part of the club. Yeah,
so I was still at Metro at the time, but I was living with my wife now, but she was just my girlfriend back then, in Meadows, where her family were from. And sometimes when we played out north, the way to come home was just through the hills and the back roads, and I'd sort of stop in every now and then. I'd see the lights on a Saturday night and pull in, and I don't know. I just got drawn to it. I don't know if it was just a regional sort of setup and me being from a country town and sort of knowing how hard it can be to pull sponsorship, get players, get volunteers, and I've just seen those, these wonderful people doing a fantastic job, which every club has, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but I think it just sort of pulled a few heartstrings seeing that it was the same people and it was sort of the same kind of setup as what Inter has. You've got a club legend that has gone and played at a high level and come back and tried to help, wants to help the club, and Dan Butler, and you had Craig Leith as a club legend there, and Fraser Keegan, and then you've got the people behind the scenes in Gabby in the canteen and Adsy and Paul Hyder, and it's just I think I just got drawn to the people there and sent a few emails and a couple of text messages, and and then we had the break in COVID, so I wasn't coaching that year in 2020. I was just helping. I was just on the committee at Metro, and then just a bit of a personal thing, and sort of stepped away from that. And Butler asked me if I wanted to help out the junior academy, and then asked me to help out with under 18s, and then Craig brought me on to sort of help him with just doing some stats for the first team, and then sort of was able to find my way in. So
find your way in. And then obviously that leads us back into the year that you had last year with them, first year in as a coach of State League 1.
Yep.
And first time in that structure as well, because you were used to the NPL and also the regional with in Inter. Did you have Craig Leith to fall back on if you needed to?
Yeah. I'd ring him a lot, especially early on when it come to sort of planning structure, and because I'd never really had to do that. I think that's why I'm a little bit naive in how much I thought I'd have to do. But I think that the players that you've got really respect what you do, and if you've got a plan and you're confident in your plan, they'll stand by you, and they'll do everything they can to give everything they've got for you, as long as you're willing to do the same for them. And I think that's sort of where a lot of the boys might have faith in me, that I just I try my hardest in what I do, and don't try and make up excuses. I'll just say it was my, at the start of the last year, we tried a different formation. It just didn't work. So I had to put my hand up and say, it doesn't work, let's change it. And but I think Craig was really good for me. And I mean, Fraser and Robbie Bucco, especially, because Robbie was my assistant coach, and sort of just a bit of a guidance for me. I think I'd lose my head a little bit and, get angry at something and want to make a change in 10 minutes, and he'd calm me down and just, sort of give me a different way to look at it. So I was pretty lucky in the group that I had around me. And then Jack Daly, I know, he was still pretty raw in the sense of coaching. But for him, he'd sort of been assistant for the last couple of years. So having him as just sort of a bit of a sounding board was really good for me.
The Daly family have a big influence in the club. You got obviously with Jared in defence, and the other brother played there as well before Mitch as well. So the Daly family has a big little bit of an influence in that club.
Well, Mitch has come. He's training with us at the moment because he wants to sort of get back into playing. So and even in pre-season, the last sort of few weeks, he's been really good to bounce off, because he's had a pretty good coaching sort of background now. Worked with Andy at South for a year, and been with him at Adelaide City with the women's for a bit. So he's he's been really good for me sort of since coming back, and Jared as well. So I'm sort of lucky with the players and the people at the club that we've got that sort of have confidence in me, and it sort of makes me able to do what I want to do a little bit better, I suppose.
Did you fit in nicely with that team? Because it's a very big community, isn't it?
Yeah. As soon as you sort of put yourself out there and not big note yourself as such, I think they're always going to welcome you in, and if you're willing to just help out, if it's taking the beer bottles and putting them in the bin, or if it's packing up the change rooms, and I think that's what the players are really good at. Like, ask them to do something, they're willing to do it, and coaches are the sort of same, and that's really Big Benny, he's a godsend for us, because he looks after all the gear and pumps all the balls up and stuff like that. But I think it's just if you be yourself and you're open with them, then they'll welcome you in with open arms and just love you forever, sort of thing. Yeah,
because I've obviously commentated your games last year in NPL TV, and I've noticed, I was chatting to a lot of the other teams, a lot of people find it a little bit difficult coming up there, and I find it difficult as well. And one of the things I reckon it is that bloody cold. It is freezing up there.
That's not bad.
I know you, out of everyone, you seem to not faze you at all, but what other reasons are there that people just struggle to win up there? Because White City won the grand final. and just missed out on finishing top. You guys beat them at home. What is that difference that you guys seem to have?
I think it's just people have that mentality that they don't want to travel. People just, I think, and that's, as soon as they get up there, you hear them complaining about the weather or complaining having to drive up here or, I'm wasting my Saturday night up here, and you could be in the city going to a pub, but instead you're at Woodside going to play and it's going to be 5 degrees. So as soon as that's your mentality, you're sort of going to struggle sort of early anyway. And that, sort of spoke to Jason Trimboli, and when they travelled up there, he drew it into their mind that, we're not going to be a walkover. It's going to be a difficult game, and, sort of nothing went right for us that night and everything went right for them. I think just some people they've got a negative mentality as soon as they know that they're playing the Hawks at the Nest. Straight away, they're just complaining about it. So you start complaining from the Tuesday. When you get there on the Friday or the Saturday, it's a long week to complain about travelling 40 minutes up the hill to a game. But I think nothing better than a 5-degree Saturday night at the Nest at 7 o'clock kickoff. So.
I absolutely hate it. And the one thing also I noticed is that the young kids, they stay there, like from the juniors, they come in, watch the big boys, because someone like Daniel Pauly that you guys have, he also trains them as well, so he coaches them. And I've noticed that culture within the kids and growing up, that I love watching the senior boys. And you see that at a lot of other clubs as well, but it's good to see that you guys have a lot of that happening. Yeah,
well, I think we had, especially sort of the under-12s, they were nearly at every home game. There'd be 10 under-12s out there, and a lot of Paulie's team, the under-15s, and even under-14s and stuff like that. You get a good group out there, and our boys sort of show them, go up and chat to them and have a bit of fun, kick the ball around with them, and I think a couple of them went out to a few training sessions. So the more you do that, the more they're going to be wanting to come out and watch them. And, there's always a lot of questions on when's Ollie and Elmsy going to come to training. We want Fridge and Elmsy to come to training. Yep. So they're the two favourites, especially with the younger group.
And hopefully they can have a long enough career as Nathan Elliott has as well.
Yeah. Well, that's something, I think he started in, what did he say? He started in under 12s or 13s or something like that, and he's still there. So, I think he said he's coming into his, I think he said 21st or 22nd season as a first. I could be wrong, but he's cracked the 400 games last year, so he's about 4. I think he said he's about 418 or 419 now or something like that, I think, including cup games. So he's definitely been a fantastic player to have, especially for me. Big decision for me was sort of to bring him in as captain, just because I needed that sort of senior role. And there was nothing against Jake Leckel, but I think just Nathan sort of really calmed me, and he'd message me every night now and then and just sort of try and be a bit of support for me, especially when we were losing, or if I felt like I'd lost the group and little bits like that. I probably got a lot of self-doubt in sort of my coaching abilities, but he'd always keep me level-headed and just tell me to keep doing what I'm doing or go back to what I want to do and believe in what I'm doing. So, if every club can have a Nathan Elliott that sticks around for 400 games, it's fantastic to have him, especially because he's been through the highs and lows of the club. So he's seen us at our worst and he's been there at the best. So, he's had a wonderful career that will just keep on going, I think.
Absolutely. Hope he can crack the 500, which would be
I think he's going, because he started off as a striker and he's just making his way. So he said to Connor, as soon as he's had enough on field, he's going to go into goals. So, which actually is not too bad between the pipes.
There you go.
He sort of dives around every now and then. But I think we had him as our reserve keeper for a couple of games there. So
we can extend his career a little bit.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, keepers don't retire till they're 46, 47. So
this year it's going to be a big year for the club as well. The men still in the State League 1, but also for the women. They got there for the very first time. You got an elite team.
Yeah.
The WSL. They're entering that, because I saw at the awards night. I was luckily invited to MC the event. You guys. The buzz around the room, everyone was excited for the season coming. The girls, they were very excited for the year. But as a head coach of the men's, what's it mean to you? Like having...
I think it gives the girls the same pathway as what our juniors have. So now they've got a senior team to aspire to. Because I know, I wasn't at the club, but I know a couple of girls had left to go and play in the state league at other clubs. And that's probably one thing that hurt us a little bit. We lost a not heaps, but I think we lost a bit of a batch of juniors there. So I think for him, it's like for the club, and Luke and Ash have done a fantastic job into building the girls into what they are, the women into what they are. And Conrad and Enzo with the junior team. So I think they're going to be sort of helping in some form of way with the senior structure as well. But it gives those under 17 girls and even the under 15 girls a pathway now and something to strive to. And I mean, even the Division 4 women, like I think they won the Div 5s, so they got promoted. And then, so, you know, for them, it's even better that they've now sort of got another something to sort of strive towards in the Women's State League. And, you know, I was a little bit not worried, but I didn't know if we'd have the depth. But when they said it wasn't a reserve squad in the State League, I thought, well, that's okay, because our Division 2 girls were strong enough. Well, that's what I thought, but I just didn't know if we'd have the depth as a club. But I think with the way the juniors have structured, and, you know, we're just growing more and more as a club now. I think we've been able to add another junior girls team in, I think, and
it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think it's just a sport, and it's, you know, I mean, hats off to the club for the way they've gone about it. And as I said, the 4 people I just mentioned, I mean, there's other people behind the scenes, but also only have a little bit to do with Luke and Ash, and then Enzo and Conrad. They've been fantastic in their junior teams, and what Conrad does with the federation, I think it's going to be you know, I think, and Enzo as well, if it keeps striving forward, there's no reason why, you know, the Division 4 girls or women won't be getting promoted again, and just making the women's team stronger and stronger, and then you can attract players back as well. So, well,
it'll be good, because a lot of people said in the Hills, it's good to have that elite team. You got, obviously, with Mount Barker United and the Adelaide Hills Hawks in the men's competition, but women had only the amateur teams to join. But now they got that elite pathway in their home region.
Yeah, that's, and I think, you know, and it's and the coaches that we've got there, you know, Luke's very good in what he does, and the plans and everything that he has in place. You know, as I said, I haven't sort of sat down with him very much and sort of got to know what he's working on, but just watching even their trainings and stuff like that, you can tell that, you know, they're moving in the right direction, which is fantastic for the club, not just for the women's, but for the men's as well, to know that the club behind the scenes is doing a lot of work to make sure that we're being represented as best we could, in, you know, both male and female. It's
going to be fantastic for the club in general. Hopefully, guys can win some silverware on both sides of the
well, that'd be good.
Team,
that'd be the plan.
That'd be fantastic. We're going to wrap it up now, and I want to do some kicking it questions, because of the podcast Kicking It Local.
Yep.
So, a couple of questions. So, if you had the chance to, anyone in football, who would you love to kick a ball with at the park? Could be anyone.
Probably Mark Schwarzer.
Mark Schwarzer?
Yeah. Just being a keeper, I sort of... He was... Mark Bosnich, but Mark Schwarzer was the first... When I started getting into soccer, he was the national keeper, and I think I just enjoyed watching and just loved the way he went about it, and so probably Mark Schwartz would be one, I reckon.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
And I think you could use Bosnich for this question. Name 2 people. So one is a footballer, and one someone locally in either at the club now or local football.
Yep.
That you would spend a Saturday night, a kick back and watching football with. And have a few coldies as well, maybe.
Yeah, I reckon. Mark Bosnich was probably pretty interesting. I don't know. I always, if we're going to have a few cold ones and sort of enjoy ourselves, I reckon Paulie's always pretty good entertainment.
Yep.
Or even
Daniel Paulie.
Daniel Paulie, or even like Ollie Grant.
Yep.
If you sort of tell him that, you can stir him up a little bit, and then he'll get on a bit of a rant rave. So I reckon I'd have to go with them 3. I'd reckon just because Paulie and Ollie can get under each other's skin, and I can just sit there with Mark Bosnich and have a laugh. So.
That'll be funny. That'll be a good one, mate. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
And thanks for having me.
Good luck for the upcoming season. Hopefully it's not too hard for you guys, and not too cold either.
Hawks, mate, we're resilient, so
absolutely. All the best. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts, so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter, so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon.